Hey, how's it going? In this video, I'm going to be taking a look at some of the article information that was published by Federal Reserve, based in New York, US, and some of the highlights of information that might be interested for some of the people, some highlights that they have published, as well as they're looking to address risk with current sector and how they're looking to address, as well as some of the metrics that might be important for people who are looking to understand more about banking. If anything, banking, I don't know if others have noticed, but overall as a sector, especially with government stepping in and for some reason supporting those banks, building them up, become more and more bigger a business, more operations, right? And taking some of that control, which not necessarily banks are interested in giving away, taking that control away from banks, in particular the banks themselves, and do not do anything other than administrating your money. It's the only thing what the banks are doing. They do administrate, and if they do administrate too much of the money, sometimes they can get in trouble, and then the banks getting in trouble. They would lobby some of the politics, and those politics would fund those banks to bring them back up to speed. If the banks would be struggling. So this is what's happening, right? So, and the takeaways, that would be other projects out there who are looking to take away some of that control away from banks. So this is what's happening. And if anything, I'm sitting here watching how things will play out. Since there are massive projects out there who looking to take away some of the control away from the banks, right? When it comes to administration, it is the only thing what banks are doing, and perhaps outsourcing that to technology. So there's no need of having a bank. How they would so blockchain projects, right? So they're looking to package those projects, and banks would say, "Oh no, let's we are the same thing of blockchain projects." And those blockchain projects, the whole reason behind those projects would be outsourcing everything to technology. So there's no need for banks. So banks and blockchain projects are two separate things. But there are some people who are mixing conversation for some reason, to then saying that. So if I to summarize, since it's blockchain, you feel free to do your own research and trying to understand it. If anything, there's a lot of confused people out there who are mixing conversations, and if anything, they're fighting for control, and how they're looking to take over that control, as well as the legal system, democracy, what that means, how much control banks currently have. Some of the projects are stepping in and trying to take some of the finance, some of that control away from the banks, and banks are trying to hold all to the control whatever they have, right? If they can, getting more control, right? While someone's trying to take away, I'm interested to see what politics will try to do, and if anything, they're trying to give more control to the people, and politics with laws trying to slow people down, right, and keep giving control to just a number of people. It's easier to control large groups of people with just a number of people who can buy out all this politics, legislations, and all that jazz. Because it's such an old system, right? Everyone pretty much knows the scam going on, pretty much knows. But more and more businesses would be looking to outsource everything to technology, and once banks will begin or start to bleed the money out, and less people will be interested in entire banking operations, and perhaps starting from a and slowly outsource everything to some of those projects. And myself, I'm interested to see what banks will do. Banks themselves, they do not produce anything. I don't know. Again, banks do not produce anything other than they trying to take control over the buildings if they can, take ownership of the buildings, take ownership of your money if they can. If they can, just take a look at what they're doing. Right? If I need to present you with a sample, every time when you depositing money to your bank account, that money, you're giving away that money with the promise of a bank returning your money. That's technical terms. Right? Every time when you ask for your money back, depending on what amount of money you would ask from your bank, sometimes it can take time, right, for a bank to give you money back, right? So it's something like liquid cash and how much of that cash banks would hold. But either way, they're looking to replace that system, if anything. And the takeaways from this video, myself, I'm not even interested in finding out more of the banking operations and all of that jazz, right? If anything, they're looking to replace the system and perhaps with the better ones. And once they will begin doing that, some of the banks will try to adapt hybrid systems. There's no hybrid. There's too much of the problem with the existing players within the market. Even right now, I'm having like a bank on the phone, and they ask me how many blockchains you want to buy. Like that, the system itself is a completely different thing, right? So it has nothing to do with the bank. It's a store of value. It has nothing to do with the bank. But bank is trying this. Accountants are mixing conversations of that. They don't understand it. Or are they paid off by those banks who don't understand what's happening? Okay, let's take a look at this article, right? So it's a Federal Reserve Bank article, been published very recently. It's November 6th, and some of the highlights within this article would be key metrics and which metrics they're taking a look at, then measuring risks, I guess, within the current markets. If anything, I have highlighted in the beginning of this video how we should replace the system in the first place. How we can replace it? Great. Once we replace it, let's build a better systems. If anything, that's any takeaways. And now, once that been said, let's take a look at some of the risk and how Federal Reserve is looking to address some of the risk. How do we measure banking systems vulnerabilities? We consider the following measures intended to capture key dimensions of the vulnerabilities of the banking systems, are based on analytical frameworks developed by New York's Fed staff or the Federal Reserve staff from academic research and using public available regulatory data on banking holding companies. The four measures were introduced in 2018. Liberty Street Economic Post and have been updated annually since then. The chart below shows the four measures and companies need a lot. I don't know. It's a bunch of data, a bunch of numbers, right? Who are most likely and how we can address that before anything can happen. But either way, it's a banking organizations, and how we're looking to address it. Some of those metrics would be capital vulnerability index, fire sale vulnerability index, liquidity stress ratio, and run vulnerability index. So what they're looking to do, they're gonna try to, based on the past, on the history, they're gonna address what will try to predict the future based on what happened on 2018, right? So based on that, we will look at the history and and we'll try to address what's going to happen in the future. In particular, if anything, there's a lot of banks currently within the US who had invested in a lot of properties, right? They have taken over a lot of properties, in particular commercial real estate. And this is what's happening in some of the places, depending on what cities we're talking about. Some of those have 20 to 25%, or perhaps even more, on their portfolio commercial property, which is vacant currently, right? So that's a metric that they're looking at. But either way. So so how banks who should be administrating only have taken over some of that real estate. Let's address this issue. Let's do not mix any conversations. Banks themselves, they do not produce anything, right? Other than they should be only administrators, only. So at some point, we all agree that banks should take over ownership of those properties. And now this is what they have on their balance sheets, right? For some reason they got so much control and so much power, they start taking over a lot of properties, and now those properties sitting on their balance sheets, which is dragging the banks down, and they're trying to push a lot of legislation. So with the different parts, where we're looking to source a lot of finance coming from taxpayers from US, where they would change the use of those properties depending on the area where they could use that as living spaces within the US. Perhaps the similar things can be taken within the UK as well, since there's a lot of commercial real estate on in particular small banks have a lot of commercial real estate which are dragging all the banking system down. Which is kind of fun, I guess, when you look at it, how that real estate got on a banking system, which should only oversee administration tasks. That's a bit of a question to ask, which is not supposed to be there. Banks should only oversee everything, right? Do not take control of anything. People who are interested in learning more, I have published a journal, Inkflow. Within this journal, you can develop yourself, you can develop your habits, in particular, habits that will last. If you were to pick up this journal, if you would work from cover to cover, that would be enough time for you to develop the habits that will last. Uh, if you work or focus every single day, every 24 hours, you would focus on particular areas. I have highlighted areas which would be important for everyone, very fundamental areas to focus on. Then take a look at your day and how to achieve most of your day, how to become more effective, productive when it comes to achieving your goals, targets that you yourself might be interested in setting for yourself across every single day within a matter of this journal. Hopefully you would have a habit of doing that every single day. You can find it in the description below as well as Dr. Italis has it. If anything, there should be I don't know, correction going on, right? Where the banking system as a whole should lose all of its control, right? And more players would. This is natural selection, also come and go, right? Where banking systems have been there in my opinion, for too long. More projects like blockchain projects should take a hold more of the market, and banking, especially with all the fees. Even yesterday, I have received an email. I don't know if any of you had a similar experience where the increasing fees just because of how expensive it is to run operations. To do what kind of operations are we talking about? Sending a message. Everything's been outsourced to software, right? So what they're actually doing, they're looking to be more profitable, to take more ownership, more of the properties. If they can, this is what they're actually doing, and that's one way to do it. As a business, I can understand what they're doing. Perhaps there are better projects out there, if anything. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.